Good morning and welcome to this episode of Vitam Virtual. My name is Ernst Maier and I'm the Swine Development Manager for Vitam International. This morning we've got a great privilege to interview Dr. Rüdiger Kratz, the Global Application Manager for Agromed in Germany that we will be interviewing today.
Hi Ernst, it's nice to be here with you.
Thank you Dr. Rüdiger for joining us. So currently pork producers are more and more interested in their fiber sources. Why would you say fiber is important?
Fiber has some surprising effects. Basically, fiber is seen as just a ballast, useless. And in the past, fiber sources were used just to make a diet cheap. When there should be no energy, we use fiber source. But this changed a lot, because nowadays we have no space left just to use something cheap and to use a waste. We need to use dedicated feeds for the animals to fulfill their needs. And there's also a strong need for fiber.
As you mentioned, globally there's pressure on input costs in formulating feeds. In South Africa we see the same trends, even to a degree where some of our producers are producing at break-even prices. Why would you add more fiber to swine diets?
For the cost of the swine feed, the guys doing linear programming, and they focus on energy and on protein, because this is very important to let the animals grow, to fulfill the needs of the animals. And sometimes we forget about the fiber. Fiber is just coming along, as just said, as a filler. And then often people don't think about which type of fiber should be used, a soluble one, a fermentable one, an inert one. But when we really have a view on the type of fiber we use and on the quantity, we can get the maximum out of the genetic potential of the animals. And then we're saving costs.
Dr. Rüdiger, it sounds like Agromed as a fiber source with some interesting properties you would like to tell us about.
Oh, surprisingly, yes. We are selling and promoting an eubiotic lignocellulose.
Eubiotic dietary fiber, would you please elaborate for our viewers?
Yeah, it is a very easy product. It's just wood. But it's a patented wood product. It has several components of different trees and also bark inside. And the bark is a key part of the product, as it provides us some active metabolites which give some very specific effects in the animals.
So what stops me from cutting down a tree and feeding it to my pigs? How does OptiCell differ from your more common fibers out there?
Yeah, just to cut a tree and to feed it to your animals, it would be possible. Then it would be sawdust you're feeding. In the best case, you don't harm your animal. So OptiCell is a patented source of selected trees, and they are milled to an ultra-fine particle size. So we have a particle size of 50 to 100 microns. In the sawdust you have millimeters. These millimeters will harm your animal, but with the OptiCell we have an effective product of ultrafine particles giving the full benefit in the animal.
Okay, so please elaborate on how OptiCell differs from more common fiber sources used.
The one point is we just need a small quantity. It's 0.5 to 2%, which gives the full effect. When you use a wheat bran, you use it in gestation sows up to 20%. So there is a lot of space you need for the fiber. And for the OptiCell, it's only a very small amount you need to dedicate in your diet. And you give some effects you won't get with any other fiber. For example, the farrowing duration in sows. We can reduce it by about 30 minutes.
So you mean OptiCell is replacing fiber in sow diets?
Somehow yes, somehow not. It depends on which parameter you're looking at. When we think about constipation, the normal fiber sources are very important and has to be used. And sure, we don't like to use a very high energy dense diet, so we need these standard fillers in the diet. But when we like to get some specific effects and to unlock the genetic potential of our animals, then we have really to think about the quantity we are feeding, the quality we are feeding, and then such specialized fiber sources, they are very valuable.
What is the mode of action in OptiCell to achieve these effects?
Principally, there are two modes of actions. The main one is we are changing the microbiome of the hindgut, which means the microflora is changed and producing more butyric acid. And this butyric acid is a very surprising molecule because it's mainly used as a nutrient for the epithelium, for the gut cells, making them more stronger, more resilient. And also it releases some peptide hormones, and then the whole gut from the start to the end is growing better and is more stable. So you have more butyric acid in the hindgut and having a much more stable small intestine. And this is very important for our small weaning piglets. A second effect is due to the active molecules we got from the bark, we have a very huge antioxidant potential in the product. Some people say it may replace vitamin E. Difficult to test and to say, but for sure we have a very strong antioxidant support along the whole gut. So when there is some stress, oxidative stress, we have something to cover it. And then this will reduce inflammation. These are the main actions directly, but then indirectly a lot other stuff is following. For example, we have an impact on glucomodulation, so more constant glucose flow in the blood, which leads for gestation for farrowing sows to a shorter farrowing because they have more fresh energy coming from the gut.
So what doctor is saying, feeding a eubiotic fiber source affects the physiology of the sow. How will the farmer see these effects in practice?
Sure, what happened in the gut is in the gut. And a sow is so big, she's just standing there and being happy, and you don't see the difference. But what the farmer can see when the whole herd is a bit more silent, because after feeding they are maybe 1 hour less hungry a day or 2 hours, and then they have more stress because it's a restricted feeding. The farrowing process is faster. So the day after farrowing, the sows are less stressed and are more eager to go for the feed. And these are some small, tiny signs the farmer can see that something happens. But for sure, it's about production and money. He can see less stillborn piglets, less pre-weaning mortality, less diarrhea in weaner pigs, which is a very strong sign. And in a least cost formulation for fattening pigs, you can simply reduce the cost to get the same performance.
With our market under constant pressure, how can we formulate with Opticell to increase our income over feed cost, and do you have studies to show that?
Yeah, the fiber strategy, as said, the fiber strategy is so important. It's not about quantity. Sometimes you can reduce the fiber, the total amount of fiber, when you have a better fiber quality in fermentable and inert fiber. We have done plenty of studies at universities, on farms, being published in nice papers. So there is a lot of proof, and when we think about the return of investment, it's ranging, for example, for sows from 2 to 1 up to 15, 20 to 1. But we should never forget the return of investment is just 1 point. More important is the income over feed cost. Even if the return of investment is only 2 to 1, it could mean the income over feed cost is huge.
Thank you, Dr. Rüdiger, for your wonderful insights and your time. To our viewers, there you have it. Formulating with Opticell increases your margin over feed cost. Don't hesitate to contact us at Vitam International for more information.